Hello and welcome back. As I said last week, I had intended to make a video around this grey Pullman, but I got caught up with the uncoupling ramps. So I thought we'd have a very swift look at the variants of the Blue Pullman over the years. And just very briefly here, the blue one here, which came along in 1963, had these lovely window surrounds and the crest on the front, and it was R555, and the dummy car was 556. The parlour car that went with it was R426. And then in 68, for that year only, try and put a yellow front end on it. And again, the parlour car that went with this was identical to that. It was R426, although I have noticed that both the dummy car, the parlour car and the power car from 68 don't seem to have running numbers on. It's not very scientific, but have a look at eBay. Any of these sets with the yellow front ends and the white window stripes don't seem to have running numbers on them. And here we have the wonderful grey looking Pullman here, or not grey looking, but the grey Pullman, which I happen to think is very, very smart. This came along in 69, lasted till 72, and again the parlour car that went with it carried the same running number as the one that went before it, R426, but was grey. Now these did have the running numbers, and they had this great blue stripe running down the side, but no flush windows, as the earlier two models had flush windows, which was quite a distinctive feature of that. And then in 1974, for that year only, try and produce this model. It had a yellow front end, a grey window stripe, no flush windows. It had a centre car that went with it, and it was produced only for a set, R538. I don't know whether these had separate R numbers or not. It's not a particularly pretty looking model, but I'll let you make your own minds up about that. And here we've got the two-car set with a couple of parlour cars as well, sitting alongside the station there. We've got those teak coaches at the bottom of the frame there, and the Flying Scotsman. A wonderful sight, all of these models together. Now we're just going to swing around the front here, have a swift look here, and then I think we'll time to depart the station. And off we go. That really distinctive sound as she picks up a little power there for those serrated wheels on the steel track. I think serrated's the word. With a fine set of models sitting at the engine shed there. And we're going to come past the yards here. You can see those container wagons as freight liners. And we're going to bring it to a stop back at the station here. And we're going to switch points number 9, the double crossover, and move her out onto the passing loop. Look how well behaved that is. She's such a smooth running model. And then we'll bring her to a stop and switch those points again. We'll just have a swift look down the side of the power cars here. We've got the old 63 version there, the original one. And here we've got the 68 only version. And here we've got 69 to 72. And this is the 74 only that was produced for the train set. Just looking down the sides of them, we can see these two earlier variants have the flush window glazing, which I think is a really smart, very, very distinctive feature. We've got the word Pullman under the windows, down here over these vents. The 69 version has Pullman very, very, very small down here, very hard to see against the grey and white. And the later 74 version, we've got Pullman returning up here and below the window stripe. So these two later variants just have the window stripes painted. They extend slightly longer along the bodywork there, but really don't look quite as distinctive as these. The underframe here is got painted up in silver on the two earlier variants, and the later ones it's just been left in black there. We'll just have a swift look at this window strip here, or flush glazing as it's called. We'll just have a look at that. So that's a separate plastic part, and I imagine that was probably quite an expensive process in terms of having it fitted in the factory and moulding a separate piece and having it printed as well, because the white is printed onto the transparent perspex there, and then somebody would have had to glue these into place. I'm not entirely sure whether that would have been machine done at the time or not. So possibly in the time of trying to save costs, they dropped that flush glazing, as an effect, and also that on the real railways they had started painting this stripe right the way along the locomotive instead of that earlier variant there. As I say, take your pick, you decide which one you like the look of best. Personally, I quite like this grey one. It is very distinctive as a set when it's running on the layout, but this does look very, very pretty with these windows like that, and then the centre coaches, which we'll have a look at in a second. And the front end of that is really quite something. It's way more distinctive than this, but this just has something about it running as a set in grey, especially with the other sort of 70s models we've got on the layout at the moment. Just gently moving away there around the passing loop, and we're going to bring it nice and smoothly up to the colour light signals here, and a gentle stop, and we'll wait for those to switch, and that's points number 4. There we go. Listen to that wonderful sound as she moves off again. Great shot coming towards the camera there, and then we'll switch those behind her. Just picking up a little extra power now as she passes the Flying Scotsman, a little bit bumpy over all those points and crossings, into the third radius curve as she approaches the incline. We've got this beautiful shot as she climbs up here. Just listen to the sound of those wheels on the steel track, really giving it some extra grip there. She's not having too much trouble with that at all. Here we've got the parlour cars which go with the 4 sets from the different eras here. This would have gone with the earlier models available from 63 through to 67, and it has got the flush glazing, which we really, really like. It does have the run number W60745, and we've got the word Pullman at both ends, and we've got that all important crest on that flush glazing, which I think is really important, but probably turned out to be a very expensive thing to produce. So the 68 model also has the flush glazing, Pullman, but importantly doesn't have the running number at either end. I believe that was a conscious thing. They probably just didn't put it on. It wasn't on the power car or the dummy cars. If you look at sets on the internet from this period, from 68, they have the yellow ends and the white window stripes. And then jumping back here to 1969, or jumping forward should I say, and we've got the removal of the flush glazing, and we've just got a glazing strip stuck on the inside like the old coaches. We do have the return of the running number, very difficult to see grey and white there, but importantly we don't have the Pullman name or the crest on the side of this coach, which is a bit of a shame, but I still think it's quite a smart thing. The paintwork really isn't that tidy. If I just lift that up and we have a closer look at it, maybe because it's come in and out of the box over the years, but it's a little bit messily applied should I say. And we can just see that running number there, very difficult to see grey on white. We'll just pop that down. And then we have the final version that came along in 74. We do have the return of the Pullman crest and the Pullman name at either end, but it doesn't look anywhere near as exciting as these earlier coaches, I don't think. We'll just have a swift look at that. You see we've got the underframe again. It's not sprayed up in silver, just like the grey one. And we do have plastic wheels with plastic axles on these, unlike the others which just have the pinpoint metal axles with plastic wheels. Oh, just a little bit of damage there. Just coming to the top of the incline now and flying over the lower part of the track. That blue stripe looks wonderful right down the side of this set of models, doesn't it? Maybe removing the flush glazing was the only satisfactory way trying Hornby could get the blue stripe down the side and putting the glazing back on the insides of the coaches. I don't suppose we'll ever really know for sure. Just look at that terrific shot coming towards camera there. Listen to the sound of those wheels as she passes underneath the elevated section there. Tiniest wobble on those coaches, and off into the distance past the station and the Flying Scotsman and the teak coaches. Swiftly looking at the undersides here, we can see the 2 earlier models here have the underframe sprayed up in silver. They all have Triang built in Britain on them. I know I was referring to this later one in 74 as made by Triang, but I suppose we are safely in the Hornby Railways period by that time. So, but it still does have Triang in the moulding here on the bottom. They hadn't got around to changing that, and I suppose if they were only using it for the 1 year, it might have been too costly to change the mould. We've got the same power bogie on each of them. We've got the serrated wheels on the first three, the three earlier ones. By the time we get to 74, we've got smooth wheels, which really changes the characteristic of the model when it's running. And again, on the 74 model here, we have pinpoint axles, but they are plastic wheels and plastic axles all as the one mould, whereas the other ones just have plastic wheels on pinpoint axles throughout. I'll leave a link in the description box to a video I did earlier in the year if you'd like to see the insides of one of these diesel Pullmans. And we're just coming through points number 8 there, we'll close those behind them. Now we're going to approach the first radius curve shortly, and I forgot to take out the power mast, so some of these units on the grey Pullman here do tend to catch it. They hang lower than the rest. Now we'll just bring it gently to a stop. And just to finish off, we'll just have a swift look at the packaging here. So this is one of the boxes that the coaches came in, and we've got rubber stamped on the end of it here, R426, Pullman parlour car, type 6 with seats. Got that lovely bold graphics on the back there. Boxes have seen better days, they're beginning to split and the end flaps are in quite poor condition. On the other end we've got that same information rubber stamped again, but we've got a price written in pencil there. We'll just pop that back down. We'll have a look at the 2-car set, the Pullman Train, and this lovely brown cardboard sleeve. It has seen better days, it's got a little bit of damage there. And on the end, got trying Hornby printed onto the cardboard in this white box here is R555C Pullman Train. We'll just have a look at the back. And somebody has written some names there in what looks like fountain pen. So we'll just turn that around and we'll just slide off this cardboard sleeve. As well as being sold in the 2-car set like this was available in the RS52 diesel Pullman train set. That was available for a number of years. That set changed the models as it went on. So that was available from 1965, so it would have had the original blue-ended Pullmans, and then in the 68 the set would have changed to have the yellow-ended Blue Pullmans, and in 69 I believe it changed to this. And then in 1970 when System 6 came along, the set name was changed to RS652 to represent that change. You can see we've got this wonderful sticker here, Pullman Train, trying Hornby, really striking when you open the box. And down here we've got the information, lift tray for instruction leaflet. Sadly I have no paperwork for this model. Still, it's a really lovely thing to have, even in this condition. And I think I'm going to leave you this week with page 10 from the 1969 catalogue, the first year this 2-car set appeared. Thank you very much for watching. And if you look back again shortly, we'll have something else from this late trying Hornby period.